The start of a new semester is today. Hashiba Junichi, a second-year student, can't help but be resentful of how much the school's atmosphere has changed. He takes in his surroundings and notices that the majority of the students are already in relationships. Some people are acting all lovey-dovey and openly flirting with their partners. He is horrified to see his classmates with their significant others when he enters his classroom. He most certainly isn't breathing in the love that is in the air. A group of teenage boys is moping around in one corner of the room, lamenting the fact that none of them found girlfriends over the break from school. These depressed high school boys turn out to be Shinpei, Keigo, and Minoru, Junichi's friends, and they sympathize with him. They complain about doing nothing over the break from school. At this point, Junichi ponders what went wrong because he believed that once he entered high school, he would finally find a girlfriend and get rid of his V card. For those at home keeping track, Junichi only has one B card that is still in mint condition and 0 total girlfriends. When a girl enters the classroom, she calls Junichi's attention, breaking up their conversation. It turns out that this girl is Junichi's childhood friend Nin. She arrived to deliver the lunch he forgot at home. When she asks if he doesn't like girls who look all kitty, their conversation takes a mighty sus turn. And a flustered Junichi responds that tastes change and her kiddish self doesn't catch his attention. After giving her his lunch, he forces her to leave, and as soon as the disappointed girl is gone, his friends start hounding him. As they begin to act strangely around her, Junichi claims that she is simply a childhood friend whom he considers to be his younger sister. Additionally, she appears childlike. As a result of Junichi's words, his unfortunate friends become even more enraged and refer to Nin as a lollipop with a big chest. Boys, go to the gallows. Once more, a different girl approaches Junichi and starts talking to him, cutting off their conversation. This time, it's Kashia Yui, a classmate. She says she's glad Junichi is back in her class and that she hopes to talk to him more this year. Hearing this makes Junichi agitated, and after their brief exchange, Junichi's friends begin making their uninvited remarks once more. Shinpei begins to discuss how she lacks a chest, prompting Junichi to remark that not everyone can be judged good or bad based solely on their chest. The other two concur, with Minoru responding that the purer a girl appears, the pervier she is, while Keigo brings up her innocent demeanor. Junichi wisely points out that this is the kind of conversation you would hear if you looked up the word inexperienced in the dictionary in response to this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Before beginning a protest that involves reading a filthy magazine in the open, they retort in the chorus that Junichi would be the cover of that entry. The three remain unmoved even though their other classmates are giving them snide looks. Junichi is horrified by this. The nefarious Shinpei is deliberately ruining the mood for everyone else by doing this. He is then persuaded to read one on his own. Even though Junichi tries to resist the urge to read aloud in front of others, he ultimately caves. One of their classmates abruptly and sternly commands their attention. He accidentally throws the magazine away out of shock, and the classmate steps on it as he tries to get it back. She is none other than the local gal or Jaru, Yame Yukana. She tells him to read his little magazine at home after yelling at him and calling him disgusting. Junichi bemoans how terrifying these gals are as he fumbles to apologize to her. For those who are curious about this gal business, it is a Japanese subculture in which young women imitate popular Western trends. Usually, they bleach their hair blonde, put on a lot of makeup, and dress scantily. Junichi's friends advise him to approach Yukana for a date following the incident with Yukana. They all believe that women enjoy sleeping with different men, so they all view this as Junichi's opportunity to finally find love. Even though he initially opposes it, his hormones take over, and he soon finds himself daydreaming about Yukana. He accepts his friend's proposal because he is focused on the goal. One of his friends leaves Yukana a love letter in her locker that asks her to meet in a remote location after school. Unexpectedly, when Yukana arrives at the designated meeting location, Junichi is already waiting for her. Though he was initially in favor of it, Junichi's inner turmoil ramps up when he sees Yukana. He begins to wonder if he should go along with his friend's plan and approach her. But in the end, he decides to carry it out despite the doubtful images that are circling in his head. Junichi gets down on the ground and bows deeply to the woman in front of him, thinking coolly to himself that he'll show her what he's got. "Will you join me on my date?" He screams, his heartfelt wail piercing the skies. Yukana responds, "Gross," and Junichi quietly nods in agreement that he is indeed gross. Now that word has spread, he realizes how pitiful his beggarly act is and realizes that he will have to say goodbye to any potential girlfriends and say hello to his V card for good. Despite this, Junichi won't get up because he has an unbreakable will. Additionally, from that angle, he can see her underwear. Since it's unusual to see someone on their knees be so aggressive, he firmly tells Yukana that he won't get up even after she asks him to. This surprises her. She goes on to ask him why he likes her, which completely deflates Junichi. Yukana is disappointed when he quickly thinks of the brilliant response that he likes her witchy side. However, the girl quickly deduces that he only wants to get with her so they can get laid, which puts Junichi in the middle of a crisis. Herein lies Junichi's second concern. She will learn that he only desires her for her body. She will tell everyone, and they will all avoid him. hello, the card, and goodbye, potential girlfriends in the future. Fortunately, he still has a glimmer of common sense, and he decides that the time is right to flee the area. Hormone Man, who is a little too fixated on staring at Yukana's underwear, is the devil that Junichi has in his mind, which is unfortunate. Junichi is made to stay there on his knees after being beaten senseless by him. Unfortunately, Yukana is aware of his motivation for staying put. The already humiliated boy is further mortified as she moves to crouch in front of him and taunts him into looking under her skirt once more. He's not like other V-boys. He's a V-boy with no confidence, in his own words, so Yukuna likes to watch him get embarrassed and how shameless he can be. It all comes to a head when Yukana forces Junichi up against a wall, where the girl confides in him that she likes him. Yukana smiles and accepts his invitation to go out. The next day, Junichi warns his friends that Yukana is likely to ruin his time in high school by making false accusations against him. All of his friends express their sympathy for him and pledge to support him always. When they discover that Yukana sent Junichi a suggestive selfie, their attitude abruptly changes. Unpopular Keigo, perpetually lonely Shinpei, and Otaku Minoru all of a sudden deny knowing Junichi. Shinpei has a mini aneurysm and declares that kissing is like breathing for women when the boy tries to convince them that he and Yukana haven't even started to kiss. The Karaoke 30 rule is a new natural law that Shinpei has discovered that is so groundbreaking that it could earn him the Nobel Peace Prize. He encourages Junichi to bring Yukana to karaoke because, by the rules, they will choose a filthy song, sing a duet, and then wham, bam, thank you ma'am. They're going to end up in each other's underwear. What an outrageous law. Shinpei dies after revealing this information due to a fatal aneurysm. The conclusion is that Junichi must quickly invite Yukana to karaoke. Yui is trying to strike up a conversation with the tense Junichi that morning before classes begin when Yukana unexpectedly arrives to say hello. The girl begins to get all clingy with him and casually confesses that they are dating. The news shocks the entire class, but the novelty quickly wears off. Everything returns to normal, except Junichi has a girlfriend, of course. After school, Junichi's 3 friends desert him and curse his death because they still can't believe that he started dating Yukana seriously. Despite being left alone, this soon changes when Yukana extends an invitation for him to hang out with her. Nin notices the two of them as they pass the school gates. She asks them why they are holding hands and Yukana casually replies that they are dating in response to her confusion. Nin becomes upset by this and calls Junichi, whom she refers to as Oniai-chan because, of course, she does, a dummy head, and then bolts off in tears. After that, Yukana takes Junichi to karaoke, which gives Junichi cause for optimism. He believes that something will finally transpire between the two of them after recalling the Karaoke 30 rule. He becomes agitated and starts to create all kinds of scenarios in his head. After Yukana selects an anime song and they sing it together, he eventually starts to relax. He works up the nerve to kiss her, but his confidence is dashed when she casually remarks that his nose hair is protruding. To Junichi's dismay, their karaoke date ends with his V-card still intact. But Yukana is happy with how everything turned out and suggests that they go karaoke together again. They part ways as a result, hearts full of joy. They were unaware that Yukana's friend had been watching them from a distance, though. A love letter is discovered in Junichi's shoe locker one day after school. He looks around in astonishment while carefully holding the letter and making sure no one can see him. Unfortunately for him, his friends notice the love letter and urge him to meet the writer since they are nearby. Junichi responds that he must tell Yukana if he plans to meet up with another woman. Therefore, he still has it in him to remain devoted even though he only really spends time with her to pop his boy berries. But of course, Junichi is susceptible to peer pressure, so despite their efforts to persuade him otherwise, Junichi decides to meet with the letter's author. He is shocked to learn that she is another woman who has been watching them. She approaches him and recognizes his inexperienced status, which prompts her to tease him mercilessly by asking how he could be so enamored of someone who isn't his girlfriend. The girl knocks Junichi to the ground and piles on top of him. Right on cue, Yukana notices them in a very intimate position, and she immediately displays shock. But Junichi soon discovers that the girls get along well with one another, so this alarm is just a false one. The fact that her friend, Ranko, just jumped on top of her boyfriend doesn't seem to bother Yukana. Her confidence is somewhat misplaced, though, as Ranko has sworn in secret to ruin the friendship between Yukuna and Junichi. The following day, Ranko, Junichi, and Yukana spend time together. The three of them go bowling, have lunch at a cafe, and go shopping together, but wherever they go, Ranko makes sure to steal Junichi's spotlight and get in the way of him and Yukana. Just as the day is coming to an end, Yukana is approached by two brash, ominous-looking guys. Even though Junichi is terrified of the men, he advances and beseeches them to leave Yukana alone because she is uneasy. He quietly adds that she is his girlfriend as well. The shrimpy Junichi is completely ignored by the men, who even push him to the ground. Thankfully, Ranko steps in and saves the day by accepting the guy's offer. She departs with them only to return a short time later as Yukana worries about the injured Junichi. In reality, Ranko gave the guys a good socking while claiming to have given them a brief talk. Since he was unable to defend Yukana, Junichi cannot help but feel pitiful as he travels home. He unexpectedly discovers Ranko waiting for him outside his house. After jokingly admitting that she might like him after he stood up for them, she extends an invitation to enter his house. When they are seated on the couch, Ranko begins luring Junichi with her copious tatas. She climbs on top of Junichi and tries to persuade him to give up his V-card to her right away so he won't have to wait for Yukana when she is already there and ready to make him feel good. Junichi finds it challenging to concentrate due to Ranko's constant movements toward him. After going completely blank and on the verge of giving in to her, Junichi suddenly recovers when he thinks of Yukana. Despite being a loser, he musters up the courage to push Ranko off of him and declare that he won't do it alone. Junichi wants Yukana to be his first partner because he wants to do it with someone he likes. His comments cause Ranko to lose her cool and attack him once more. She assertively declares that she won't permit a loser like him to date Yukana. Ranko's love for Yukana, who had always been there for her when she was a lonely child, becomes abundantly clear. She then declares that she will screw Junichi so badly that he won't want to do it with Yukana any longer. There may be other approaches to accomplishing this, but you do you, Ranko. Or, in this case, Junichi, you do. Just in time, a furious Yukana tells Ranko to stop as she bursts through the door. After being startled to see her, Ranko and Junichi grow concerned that Yukana might overhear their conversation. Fortunately, the upset girl didn't hear it and now believes Junichi is about to cheat on her. Ranko calms her best friend down by explaining that she was only testing him to see if he would have a sexual relationship with someone else. Relieved, Yukana expresses gratitude to Ranko for showing such concern for their relationship, causing Ranko to cry. The following day arrives, and Junichi feels relieved because he believes Ranko will now leave him alone. She will, however, appear if you mention the devil, who also forces Junichi to make a promise not to tell Yukana how she feels about her. Yui can be seen observing them from a distance while Ranko is attacking him. She is furious that Junichi could like someone other than her, because he dated a girl. Hashiba Junichi's previously quiet high school life is now considerably livelier. For more anime